Mr. Catchmark?
Good evening.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us today for this board hearing on our millage rate. We will have a short presentation, and then, since this is a hearing, that is exactly what we will be doing up here, is listening to you. So, Ms. Cooper?
Good evening, Mr. Moss. Good evening, board members, and good evening, audience.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cooley.
That's okay. Tonight, we're going to go through the fiscal year 2025 budget process. This is our public hearing on the millage rate. Taxpayer Bill of Rights. Even though the district is not seeking to raise the millage rate, any millage rate that is in excess of the rollback rate must be advertised as a tax increase, requires a press release to be issued, and requires 3 public hearings to be held. On June 12th, we had our first public hearing at 11 a.m. We had our second public hearing at 6 p.m. that same night, and this is our final third public hearing tonight. In 1999, the Georgia General Assembly passed the Taxpayer Bill of Rights with the intent to prevent what was referred to as backdoor tax increases. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights and rules were developed by the Georgia Department of Revenue to implement this legislation to establish a process that all local government jurisdictions, counties, cities, and boards of education must follow. This process ensures full disclosure to the public for any increases, including increases that result from value inflation. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights was established to notify the public about inflationary increases to existing property values at the local government level. It also enhanced individual property owners' rights when objecting to and appealing an increase in a property's appraised value to the County Board of Assessors. According to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, each taxing jurisdiction must roll back or reduce the millage rate each year to offset any inflationary increases in the tax digest. If the county or other governing authority elects to set their millage rate higher than the rollback rate, then they must follow certain requirements to notify the public that taxes are being increased. The public notification process includes 3 public hearings, public notices of the increase in the local newspaper, and press releases. Each year, the Chatham County Board of Assessors establishes the taxable value of all property in the county and publishes the certified tax digest for each taxing jurisdiction. The Board of Education has 2 separate taxing jurisdictions and therefore receives 2 separate tax digests, one for maintenance and operation and another for bonded indebtedness. Each of these 2 taxing jurisdictions has its own millage rate, which is determined by the board. Taxable values exist for all 6 types of property: real property, personal property, vehicles, mobile homes, timber, and heavy-duty equipment. Digest values for both jurisdictions are shown on the chart. The current digest amounts and amounts for the last 5 years were published in the local paper as required by law. Sometimes, when assessed property values go up, homeowners will pay more taxes even when the school district millage rate remains unchanged or is lowered. Even though the millage rate has not gone up, taxpayers may see increased cost. This is because the value of their property has increased. In the chart presented, the red line represents the millage rate. The millage rate in the example is unchanged. As the property value increases in year 2, the higher tax liability is a result of increased property values. For fiscal year 2025, SCC PSS recommends no change in the current millage rate of 17.631 mils. Changes in the digest value of real property, one of the 6 types of property, can take 2 forms: new construction or reassessment of existing property. Once the assessors establish the taxable value of real property, they calculate the millage equivalent of any reassessments, subtract it from last year's millage rate, and the result becomes the rollback rate. The millage equivalent is determined by taking the value of reassessments divided by the total digest and multiplying the result by last year's millage rate. The calculation is shown on the slide. The tentative millage rate adopted by the Board of Education for maintenance and operations exceeds the rollback rate. Here you see the 17.631 mils remains the same in the 2 millage rates from last year to the initial tentative rate for calendar year 2024. Calculation of school taxes on a home valued at $250,000 with only the state regular homestead exemption. This is an example of a property tax bill in which the property value increases from the prior year using the recommended millage of 17.631 mils. The total estimated tax for county school M&O is $1,604.72. This is an example of a property tax bill in which the property value does not change from the prior year using 17.631 mils. The total estimated tax for county school M&O is $1,448.16. This is an example of a property tax bill in which the property value decreases from the prior year using the recommended millage of 17.631 mils. The total estimated tax county school M&O is $1,285.25. This concludes the presentation on the school millage rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cooley. Okay, it is, we have quite a few people that are signed up to speak today. And first of all, thank you all for being here today. Please understand that you're welcome at all of our meetings. We will start, and please remember, we have a lot of people today. Your time limit is 3 minutes. And if you have anything written that you'd like to leave with us, you can leave it with our officer here. First, we have Mrs. Nancy Bryan.
Ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm a property owner in Chatham County, and I'm a native of Savannah, having attended 1st through 12th grade at Juliet Low, Myers, and Jenkins. I live right near Myers, so you know that neighborhood if you know Savannah. It's a very middle to low middle area, and the homes there are now, even 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes are selling for about $250,000 with not redone kitchens or bathrooms, with 50s style kitchens and bathrooms. So that means that there aren't any more $100,000 homes in safe neighborhoods in Savannah. We don't know if this is a blip in time or what, but if you compare our prices to, say, Augusta's, our houses are twice as much or more than twice as much. So I see this as a reason to roll back the millage rate. I lived in I was born right here in Savannah. I'm a Savannian, but I lived in California 27 years. I saw that state become a state of the very poor or the very rich, precisely because of taxes. If you looked between 2010 and 2020, they lost a population of 6 million, and that was even with a lot of newcomers arriving from other countries. They still lost 6 million people, while we gained 1 million. And I would say, because I retired here after living out there 27 years, that it's partially because we used to have moderate prices. We no longer have moderate prices. So in any case, let me carry on really quick. I wrote my notes down, and now I have to find out where I am. So taxes are way too high already. This millage needs to be rolled back. Our incomes have not gone up at the same rate. I am a retired person. I'm 74. My retirement only goes up 2% per year. You know how much more we're paying for groceries and everything else. I live in a modest house. Everybody around me is of modest means, and the taxes are absolutely ridiculous. I think I've said most of the things I want to say, except for one thing. I have a friend who just sold their house at near Isle of Hope. They sold it for double what they bought it for about 6 years ago, and moved to Augusta and bought a much larger home in a nicer neighborhood with a pool. And they paid half as much money. So they put the money in the bank. You're going to have the same exact thing happen here. I guarantee it. I lived in California. I lived in Fresno, which is less expensive than the coast. I saw people sell their Santa Barbara homes, their San Diego homes, and move to the Fresno area. And of course, a lot of those people are now moving to other states. That's why they lost 6 million people. This is not meant to be a city for only rich people and for only the elites.
Thank
This
you.
is meant for normal people. Okay? Please roll back the millage rate.
Thank you very much. By the way, we have 2 of our board members that are joining us on the phone, Mr. Sean Katchmar and Dr. David Bringman. Next, we have Mrs. Roberta Demesca.
Good evening. My name is Roberta Demesco. I am here to represent myself, my husband, and my mother, who could not be here this evening. I've taken the time to watch the recordings of the previous 2 meetings with comments from other Savannah residents. I hope the board members not present also took the time to take note of their comments. I am an educator, and I am completely sensitive to the complexities of the academic environment. However, as an educator with a focus on business management, I am a proponent of numerical context in doing my homework to properly support any strategic objectives with relative cost-benefit analysis. So I've done my homework, and I would like to share with you a few numbers. Based on a document from the Georgia Department of Revenue with the by county tax digest millage rates for 2023, I extrapolated into Excel and calculated across 159 counties in the state of Georgia the average millage for schools, which is 14.88 versus the 17.61 of Savannah. The city of Savannah places higher than approximately 145 other counties in the state of Georgia, with a current premium of 15% above the state of Georgia county average. The millage rate, as was explained earlier, works in combination with the fair market property values that are assessed by the Chatham County assessor, which is conveniently beyond the scope of the school board. However, the dramatic increase in fair market values magnifies the proposed 7.84% increase. As an educator, I give my heart and soul to my students and have received excellent performance reviews, and yet this has never, nor likely ever will, translate to a 7.5% salary increase. I certainly cannot unilaterally require or request this from my employer. While I have been lucky in quotation marks, have my hard work recognized with small salary increases, according to the Federal Reserve Real Value Calculator, my salary in 2024 in real terms is exactly the same as it was in 2020. This high inflation rate means that I do not have more economic power for 4 years of hard work that can be documented by the success stories of my students. The fair market value, which I am now forced to appeal with the tax assessor, says that the fair market value of my mother's house, I should be precise, has increased 136% in 1 year. And I guarantee that nothing was done structurally or otherwise to the house in that time frame. The school tax represents 43% of my mother's property tax bill. An additional 7.5% on top of this astronomical valuation translates to an additional $1,178 per year in property taxes. Some of the largest revenue-producing yet tax-exempt property in Chatham County includes $559 million for Georgia Ports, $287 million for the Savannah Airport Commission, and $207 million for St. Joseph's Candler.
Thank
These
you.
are revenue-producing.
Thank you. You can leave that with us.
I will leave that. One other thing to recognize is that the current assessed value for the JW Marriott Hotel is $337,000 for the building. Thank you.
Mrs. Donna Van Gorp, I'm sorry. Donna Van Gorp.
Good evening. My name is Donna Van Gorp. I'm a local pastor in the Savannah area. I also run a food pantry and help the community in many other ways. I'm also a homeowner, and I feel from what I am seeing with homeowners, myself, and others, and those that are retired, the cost of living alone has been extremely difficult. People are finding it difficult to find money to pay their own bills, let alone food, and this is why I'm getting more and more people coming to my food pantry. So I ask that as a local person that sees the struggle in the people in the economy, see the people that are needing more and more food, needing more and more finances, and not getting raises necessarily in their employment, and not getting anything but the government taking more money from the Social Security. I just think that this is not a wise move to cause your people to suffer by raising these particular millage. So I'm asking, as a consumer, as a person in this local area that's been here for 25 years, that we not raise this tax. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Glennis Peterson?
Good evening. I'm a Chatham County property owner, and I strongly urge the school board to roll back the millage rate back to 16.349 mils, which will accrue the same revenue for the school system as in fiscal year '24. In this time of historic inflation, we are all having to do so much more with less. The school system should be no exception. Keeping the millage rate the same at 17.631 mils as this current year requires a property tax increase of 7.84 and will most certainly impact people on a fixed income like retirees, as well as low-income families who would feel the impact the most. Landlords will pass this tax increase on to their renters. By the school system requiring a tax increase, you are hurting the quality of life and potentially even the survival of these students you claim to serve. With Brigham, Smith, Howard Hall, Catchmore, and Chairman Moss coming up for re-election in 2026, we are closely watching how you vote. I respectfully ask that you do the right thing. Thank you.
Beth Maggioroni.
I spoke last week as a taxpayer and retired teacher and made two main points. First, the same millage rate can't be compared district to district since the resulting valuation of that said millage rate is dependent on the county valuation of all their properties. This total value varies from county to county across the state. It's not an apples to apples comparison. My second point was related to the 208 Bull Street bloat. As a refresher, remember that using info from the fiscal year 25 preliminary budget book for Savannah-Chatham County, it is notable that over the past 5 years, school board FTE positions have increased by a net of only 46.3 positions, and non-school-based FTE positions have increased by a whopping 153.1 positions. The biggest non-school-based offenders are academic affairs, with 91 positions added over the last 5 years, and facilities management, non-transportation, with 21 positions added. School leadership has been quoted by Savannah Morning News as saying that all but about 4% of the district's salary and benefits budget goes towards employees who directly support students. This sounds good until you do the math. Per an open records request, out of the fiscal year 25 salary and benefits budget of $518 million, the 4% that goes to positions that don't directly support students, mainly central office positions, equals $20 million approximately. To put this in perspective, the increase in revenue that the proposed millage rate will yield in tax increase equals $41 million in revenue for Savannah-Chatham County schools. Half of the proposed tax increase will be taken up with salary and benefits of mainly central office positions. While I applaud the proposed decrease in administrative positions, which equates to approximately $800,000 according to the district, this is a drop in the bucket when you realize the total salary and benefits budget for administrative positions is approximately $20 million for fiscal year 25. There is more room for major cuts. Representative Brinkman is quoted by Savannah Morning News as asking this question of the public: beyond cutting administrative roles, what do you want us to cut? I would answer by suggesting to look at any other areas that don't directly support students. With the chair and 4 board members up for re-election in 2026, I ask that you show your constituents that you are honoring your fiduciary responsibilities by voting for a millage rate rollback. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Vicki Bradley.
Good evening. I am a lifelong Chatham County resident, a graduate of Savannah Public Schools, a property owner, and a taxpayer. And like everyone else here, I'm asking the school board to roll back the millage rate to the 16.349 mills, which will accrue the same revenue for the school system as it did in fiscal year '24. The rest of us, individuals and businesses here in Savannah, are having to adjust our own budgets. It's time for you to do the same. Go line by line, take a day or two and look and see where you can make some adjustments. And I will say, personally, and like many other people, my husband and I, our salaries have not increased, but prices have gone up. So we have had to roll back our own personal spending, and the board needs to do the same. I just want to reiterate what another speaker said earlier. Several of y'all are coming up for a re-election in 2026, and the people of Savannah are watching closely, not just how you vote, but how you are spending our money. Our money. Do the right thing and roll back the millage rate for the citizens. Thank you.
Mrs. Brittany Brown.
Hello, I appreciate you guys letting us have the opportunity to speak to each of you. I am a homeowner, and I'm lucky enough to be able to own a home, but if taxes keep increasing, a lot of people are not going to be able to keep their home. Prices have gone up, like everyone has stated. We're all living in, in tighter, we have to reel in our spending, and that's what needs to happen with the school board. And from my understanding from previous board meetings, it looks like enrollment is decreasing in Chatham. So we should have some money available from those students not attending Chatham that we don't need to increase, or we don't need to keep the millage. We can roll it back, and we can use the money wisely. And I appreciate that you guys are doing things differently, but this is not a good situation for you guys to increase. I know it says that we're keeping the millage rate the same, but it's a tax increase for us, and that's all we understand. So I hope that you guys will consider voting no to keep the millage rate, and that you guys will roll it back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jason Peterson.
Good evening. I'm Jason Peterson. Thank you for having us here. I am a Chatham County property owner as well. I asked the school board to roll back the millage rate to the current 16.349 from the 17.631. This will accrue the same revenue for the school system as in fiscal year '24. If we keep this rate at 17.631, this will increase the property tax to 7.84%. That increase in taxes will be on top of the last 2 years, which were tax increases totaling 23.75%. During tax year 22 and 23, the generated net tax increase was an astounding increase of over $70 million. During these uncertain times, both politically and economically, it is a crucial time for those that are fiscally sound to defend its citizens and not overreach nor take advantage. Many of the constituents in this county are currently on fixed incomes, have modest wages, disabilities, et cetera. I know we're talking about the property values going up. One thing to keep in mind, when property values go up, not everybody can afford to buy a second home. even if you sold your property and you go buy another property, that property is also increased. So your buying power is reduced. It doesn't necessarily translate. But you're having to pay increased taxes, and it makes things a lot harder financially for people. The effects from these financial decisions will be lasting, both in the harm that it's causing to the constituents of this county, as well as to the voting responses, which, obviously we've talked about a little bit. The provisions in the tax bill permit the rollback, and that's what we're all asking for. You can see that there's groundswell of people speaking about this, but there's a lot more people that are not willing to come out and talk. It's pretty intimidating to talk in front of a board or in front of cameras and people, second guessing everything. But there's a lot of people that are very concerned about this. I'm sure you guys are aware of it. We just ask you to vote with your heart and your head, do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Cheryl Gay.
How are y'all doing? So a lot of people have said what I was going to say, so I'll be even briefer than I was going to be. In response to the question, where else do you want us to cut? I have a couple of suggestions for that. Number one, if you want us to be able to make really good suggestions on what to cut, we need to be part of the budget process from the beginning. We can't make good decisions or recommendations if we don't know the details. Secondly, I spent about 10 minutes doing a really quick search. I went to opengeorgia.gov, and this is one area I think y'all could look at. And this is just, I'm not going to name names, this is just 10 admin level employees. This is from 2023, their travel costs for the year. $9,288, $5,694, $4,739, $1,848, $5,262, $3,041, $2,812, $2,844, $4,308, and during my limited search, the winner was $14,215 in travel costs in 2023. I don't see how these are justifiable in this day and age of Zoom and Google Meet. There's no reason you have to travel to go have a meeting with somebody. Just jump on Zoom. We're all doing it. We're all having to cut our costs, and there's no reason this board can't make some tough choices and decisions like we all are having to do. The average citizen is becoming painfully aware of the financial burden that's inflicted by this board's decisions. Please roll back the millage rate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Peter Robine. Okay. Chris Summers.
Hi there, thank you for the opportunity to address you. So when I heard about the tax increase, the first thing I did, I looked at it from an economic perspective. So I looked at the employers in the area. Nothing's changed. Gulfstream always number one. What surprised me was number two, which is you guys, right? The school district. And then there and beyond. So a non-profit entity is the number two employer. And I think we had some comments about how we should be cutting back and you should be looking deep for your cuts. Some of the other comments about the homes and taxing people out of their homes. It's a very likely scenario. So when we look at those increases in the property taxes, what you look at is the influx of people. Why did it happen? It happened because of COVID, right? In the pandemic, you had a lot of influx. People coming from the north to the heat in the south. It's over though now. As in 2024, we're going down. It was 1.5 in 2020, now it's 1.1. And it's going to go down, and people are going to flee. The other thing you think about is, well, you want to sell your house. If you're known as an entity that taxes very highly, who is going to buy the houses, right? So houses are going to go into foreclosure or become rentals. The rental versus homeowner, it's 44% to about 55%. Taxes for rentals are going to be pushed on to the renters, right? Then where are the renters going to go? The renters are going to flee as well, right? And then what do you have? More blight. You look at the economics of the city and what's happening. People can't afford to pay their taxes. They can't afford to go downtown. They can't afford services. They can't afford to maintain their homes, on and on and on. So increasing these taxes, basically you're architecting the demise of the city. Right now is not the time. The governor just decreased the income tax. Why would you be increasing taxes? Right now is not the time for this at all. People are struggling. So we're asking you to do the right thing and roll it back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa Nappi?
My name is Lisi Knapp, and I
Sorry
live-
about that.
It's okay. I love Savannah. I moved from the north, the expensive north, to the reasonable south. And it's been a delight to be in Savannah. It's a wonderful place. And if I leave, I know there's people that are going to come here that can afford it. So I'm having problems paying, as of last year, all my bills. So all I can give up are the things that make my life really good and special. I'm forced to eliminate some necessities of living and pay those. And I just see this as one of the steps in decreasing my quality of life if I have to pay more taxes. It's always been a blessing to have lower taxes in my home, and I really don't know how I can go anywhere else. I bought a home that's on the first floor, and I plan on retiring there. And so I just hope you can figure out somewhere to cut so you don't have to do this increase. I thank you, Mr. Moss, and all your school board members for considering what we're saying tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peter Grobel?
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Grohall. I don't have a prepared speech, so it's basically going to be off the cuff. So bear with me. I'm not too fond of this idea over here. We've got the taxpayers, the residents, which we are. We pay the taxes. We pay your salaries. We're down here while you're up there on your thrones, acting like royalty. Maybe you should be down here with us. All right. We pay a lot of taxes on everything. This country exists now because we didn't like to pay a 4% tax to the British. And so now we have personal property tax, we got excise tax, we got estate tax, we got death tax, we got all kind of taxes, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. We pay your salaries. If you didn't do the job right, what are we going to do? We can't do anything about it because you're running the show. It's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But we basically have no say. So you do what you want to do. And for instance, you look at the roads. We're paying taxes to get those roads fixed. Not fixed. You look at, they put up signs. The city puts up signs, safety signs. You can't see them because the tree's blocking everything. What's the point? What kind of logic is this? So anyway, you got to think of not taxing the people anymore, because it seems like government, which is supposed to be us, but government does what it wants to. We got to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eugene Brown?
Is that the superintendent of Chatham County? Okay,
Yes.
you're from Houston, right?
I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina, okay. Well, to reiterate on what the First Lady said, Mr. Moss, my name's Lee Brown. I live out in the Vernonburg area. I found a great way to save some money. Can you tell me how many students, children of illegal immigrants are going to our schools?
Sir, this is
Well-
time for you to speak. This is not time
Wait
for
a
us to
minute,
talk.
I'm getting to that. I'm trying to get you some money here. I followed the bus home one day. First bus, 39 children, not a one of them American. The second one was 21. Now, all these people here are on fixed income. I worked at the Chatham County Jail. I don't get any more money. I'm on Social Security just like the rest of them. But if you need a prime example of what's going to happen if you keep doing this, all you got to do is look at Denver, Colorado, $340 million in the red. People are leaving there in droves. People are leaving California in droves. They are going to lose 2 seats in Congress and the House of Representatives because people cannot afford to pay the taxes. The taxes are unreal, and there's no reason for them. We do not need more taxes. What we need is more people thinking. We had a thing in the military. It was called military planning. You're right here, and you need to get to here. This is all you got, and you got to make it work in that period. If you took that course and you understood it, you would know that you can get by with what you need and not what you want. I lived in 4 or 5 different foreign countries. In every country I went to, I learned to survive. And I learned to budget. My wife budgets every month. We don't get any more money. So why should I be giving money away that I don't have and I'll never see? The mayor just about messed it up when he put a 6% tax on every hotel in Chatham County. First thing they did was up the prices of the hotel rooms. That's basic economics. And if you keep on this footing right here, people are going to leave here. They're going to abandon their homes, and you're going to look like Los Angeles. They're going to be living in tents, or you're going to have a ghost town. So roll it back. Matter of fact, you can roll it back farther as far as I'm concerned, like to 12. That would be great.
Al Pritchard? Al Pritchard? No? Okay, thank you. Clinton Howard? He's not here. Oh, there he is.
I'm Clinton Howard, and as you may or may not remember, I spoke at the first hearing. All these people here have told you their plight, they've told you their limitations, what they can do and what they cannot do. You need to learn not only how to balance your budget, you need to learn to make cuts, no matter how harsh, no matter how difficult. You need to learn to work with less. This is why people want school choice. Your budget becomes bloated and increases with every following opportunity that you have to do it. But there is no real improvement in performance. That's been proven time and time again. You keep this up, school choice will become a reality. And if you think your student body is increasing now, all your facilities that you built will become a ghost town. And if the residents don't leave, your entire house of cards will crumble. Roll back the millage rate and start improving the performance, not only of yourselves, but for the students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Timothy Mackey? Oh, thank you. All right. This is an open hearing, so Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Thank you very much. I will accept a motion to close the hearing. Second.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Yes.